Hello everyone. First, I would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to present my proposal. The name of the artwork is Cyprus, Vital Science. The ambition is to explore the many facets of sustainable tourism with the help of technologies such as data science and 3D computer graphics. The image in the background is meant to illustrate how data on a map can be perceived as an aesthetic experience. My name is Joseph Hovedik. If you point your phone to the QR code on the left, you will be directed to the website for this proposal. The QR code on the right will link you to my art portfolio. A few words about myself. I was born and raised in France. I studied geology and computer science. After school, I was offered a position in San Francisco Bay to work for an oil major. In California, I attended the San Francisco Art Institute, where I developed a large body of paintings. And after 10 years, I moved to Rio de Janeiro. There, I became interested in data science and digital art. Today, I live in Guatemala. For me, data science is a new sense to perceive the world in a new and profound way. I integrate data science with art to create work that is layered in meaning and rooted in data. Now, I would like to give you an overview of my proposal. The starting point is tourism data in Cyprus. This is illustrated by the pixelated map in the background. The yellow triangle, red square, and blue circle represent the three pillars of my proposal. First, the yellow triangle is the philosophical dimension. I spent years working for a large corporation where data is analyzed to generate profits. The English philosopher Francis Bacon understood that knowledge is power, and it is the source of great wealth, but also of many problems, including the problems of sustainability. With the challenges of today, I think it is worth exploring another conception of knowledge, that of Socrates, who famously said, "Knowledge is virtue." The idea is that a truly knowledgeable person lives in the best possible manner. You know everything is not possible, because knowledge is fragmented, and because we're bound by rationality. But one particular kind of experience allows the perception of the whole universe, the aesthetic experience, the contemplation of the whole, the experience you get when contemplating a landscape or a work of art. So the philosophical ambition is to begin with data, develop a knowledge base, and through the aesthetic experience encourage virtuous behavior. The red square refers to the technical aspects. First, I will connect data from public sources. Data can be numbers, text, images, and sounds. Then I use standard data science techniques to extract information from the data. They include a range of mathematical techniques and algorithms, from simple statistics to more sophisticated deep learning models. The information extracted from the data is then displayed in a nice visual infographics. The artwork integrates knowledge along two orthogonal axes. The horizontal axis is the aesthetic experience, and the vertical axis is the analytical experience. I transform data into visual and audio elements of art. This is in line with efforts of previous art movements such as the Constructivist or the Bauhaus art movements, or in line with the development of the new music of the 50s. I think it is exciting to refresh the ideas of modernist art movements of the 20th century. Finally, I combine the visual and audio elements with symbols to compose animated scenes. My ambition for this project is to create 12 scenes and explore the various themes related to sustainable tourism. I have listed here some of the themes I plan to explore in the 12 scenes. First is the theme of tourist concentration. Tourism is concentrated in time and in space. There's a high season and a low season. There are tourist hotspots along the coastline. This concentration leads to economic disparity. There are many sources we can draw data from. For example, data records of tourist arrivals, or publicly available photos with geolocalized data. The next theme is culture, historical and contemporary. Basically, with this theme, I want to highlight the cultural elements that make Cyprus rich and unique. The idea is for tourists to discover the traditions of Cyprus, to enrich themselves, and to help preserve those traditions for this theme. I use text as my data source, collected from tourist guides, travel guides, or museum guides. Then there's the theme of water, energy, and waste. I want to highlight the impact of human activities on the environment. There's a water shortage problem that is getting worse over time. There's a problem of greenhouse gas emissions from air travel. There are efforts to reduce single-use plastics. There is a wealth of data documenting these issues. The last theme is nature. This is a complement to culture. Again, the idea is to highlight the biodiversity, the unique geology and geography, and to better preserve the rich natural heritage of Cyprus. So I want to integrate all these themes into 12 animated scenes. Now, I would like to show a few examples of how I transform data into visual elements of art. First, data is transformed into a color palette. Here, I gathered socio-economic data from the World Bank since 1900, in total over 1,400 time series. The curves have been normalized and selected to account for most of the variance observed. If you look closely, the curves tell the recent history of Cyprus. I was compelled to see the gray curve show a spike in the death rate after 1970. Then I learned a little bit about the conflicts that happened during that time period. I was struck to see the brown line indicate total reserves suddenly dropping after the 2008 financial crisis. Also, the purple line shows merchandise export increasing after 2004, when Cyprus joined the European Union. I did not decide on which data to select, rather, the algorithm looked at variance explained and smoothness of the data to extract the time series with the most compelling story. Now, using a dimensionality reduction technique, I converted the data into a color palette. Within the context of the data, the color palette conveys a powerful impression by associating each epoch of Cyprus's history to a specific color. Data is also transformed into sounds. Here I gathered monthly records of tourist arrivals. Most tourists arrive during the high season between the months of April and October. Since 2005, there has been a significant increase in tourist arrivals and then a sudden drop in 2020. And that's because of the pandemic. I converted the monthly distribution of tourist arrivals into the frequency content of a waveform function. So let me now play the resulting sound. It sounds like a heartbeat, the heartbeat of tourism in Cyprus. If you paid attention, you may have noticed 20 beats, one for each year, and the last 2 beats are weaker. So you're able to hear the visceral effects of the pandemic of tourism. Here's a second example, this time using monthly precipitation data as the frequency content, and yearly data to modulate the pitch and duration of the sound. So let me play the second sample. So if you paid attention, you may have noticed a lowering of the pitch. That's because the data has a clear trend with decreasing water precipitation, so less rain over time. The analytical perception of the data was transformed into a sensorial perception of the data. Instead of thinking about the data, you perceive, you hear, and you feel the data. This new example is about text data. I scraped text from multiple travel sites, such as The Lonely Planet, Rough Guides, and other sites. I compile the text into a corpus and build a sophisticated language model that I use to identify topics to extract keywords. The result is a set of topics and keywords most commonly discussed. So in the blink of an eye, you get a high-level expose of the top destinations that drive tourism to concentrate in certain areas of Cyprus. One of those locations is a place called Stavros. It looks like it's a beautiful mountainous region with convent and a copper mine. There are many techniques for analyzing and transforming data into elements of art. The goal is to turn data into an emotional experience. One sophisticated technique consists of using deep learning models. In this example, I trained a variational autoencoder on a set of input images. The model is trained to extract characteristic features of an image by passing the data through a series of filters. In the center of the autoencoder, there is a bottleneck that encodes the image into a compressed vectorial form. Specifically, this technique makes it possible to mathematically sort images, rank images, group images, and apply design principles such as contrast, symmetry, pattern, unity, etc. So let me give you two quick examples. The first one is the sorting of images along two principal components of the vector space. As you can see, the images have been organized by the algorithm in a rather satisfying way. We can also use the network to generate new images with patterns similar to the input training data. And this is what you're looking at now. The autoencoder can also be used for music. I use the autoencoder to generate a 12-tone musical composition. So I will play here the first moments of the music piece created by the algorithm. So I've listened to this piece several times and I can clearly hear a sense of musical direction and development, which I find quite remarkable. So up to now, I gave you examples of how to apply data science and create visual and audio elements of art. The next step is to integrate these elements into a composition. I will be extremely brief here. I'm using 3D computer graphics software. This technology is used extensively in the entertainment and gaming industries. It is a wonderful technology that enables the creation of photorealistic images using 3D models and ray tracing of light. This technology has enormous potential for creating compelling visual arts. You're looking at a screenshot of the 3D viewport in one of the scenes I created. So here's a quick word on budget and planning. All you need to know is that my proposal is very doable within the time frame and budget constraints. I will deliver a website documenting all the steps of the creation process, from data to the algorithms, from infographics to the final rendered scenes. The time frame allows me to create 12 scenes that explore the themes selected concerning sustainable tourism. Code and algorithms will be open source on a collaboration platform called GitHub. My main cost will be hardware and computing costs. Not to mention housing and travel costs, because I will need to be on site to get a true appreciation of what the country has to offer. Let me now show you the beginning of the first scene. The scene explores the concentration of tourism in space and in time. The color palette is derived from the national tree of Cyprus. The color also reflects the changing seasons. There is a map of Cyprus reacting to tourist activities. So let me play the beginning of scene 1. So the colors get progressively hotter and the map gets more agitated as we enter the high tourist season. The second scene explores the problem of single-use plastics and how it degrades the beauty of the island. Let me play the beginning of scene 2. So you heard the beat I created from tourist arrival data. As the statue of Aphrodite gets covered in plastic bags, the heartbeat slows down and the pitch of the sound drops. So in conclusion, I hope I have convinced you that my proposal is doable, that it consists of creating a work of art based on data and data science. The ambition is to offer an aesthetic and an emotional experience of the data, as well as an analytical experience of the data. The data will be transparent and traceable. The algorithms will be open source and will be given back to the community. After all, this is your data. I hope I have explained clearly the themes of sustainable tourism that I want to integrate into the work of art. In many ways, this is a transgressive digital work based on new technologies and opening new possibilities for innovation and creativity. And with that, I would like to say I'm very grateful to you for taking the time to listening to my proposal. Thank you.